How can Mahayana Buddhist practices help pacify war? Why is the combined practice of Hayagriva and Tara so effective in averting fear and strife of war? If these practices work, why is there still war in this world? What prayers and practices are helpful? We answer these questions and end with a practice of the great Siddhi Yogi Tangtong Gyalpo, requesting both Hayagriva Buddha and Tara to pacify war.
In history, it is difficult to find any period of prolonged peace and only 2 long periods of relative peace. Historians estimate only 200 years of relative peace out of 12,000 years since the last ice age, and since hominins first began making stone tools 3.3 million years ago. Although we may not be able to fully stop war and suffering, the Dharma certainly has methods to help pacify the causes and frequency of conflicts. The Dalai Lama put it this way:
Our world has become so interdependent that violent conflict between 2 countries inevitably impacts the rest of the world. War is outdated. Non-violence is the only way. We need to develop a sense of the oneness of humanity by considering other human beings as brothers and sisters. This is how we will build a more peaceful world.
One of the most famous of practices for averting war or protection in war or pacifying war is the famous practice called Truthful Words to Pacify War by Tangtong Gyalpo. In the history of this practice, its effectiveness was explained this way.
When war raged in Minyak Kam and it looked as if there was no end in sight, for no one was able to pacify the warring factions, the great Yogin Tangtong Gyalpo arrived. He generated bodhicitta, and by merely reciting these verses and scattering flowers, quelled the anger and jealousy in the minds of the warring factions so that the conflict came to an end. All came to have bountiful harvests and enjoy prosperity, auspiciousness, and peace.
Not only did this practice pacify war in that region, it blessed those who had died to be immediately reborn in Hayagriva and Amitabha's pure land of Sukhavati, and further blesses the region to recover with bountiful harvests. It specifically exorcises any mischievous elemental spirits who enter the minds of beings and transform their hosts into warring titans. In one short practice are multiple powerful activities: pacification, control, suppression, and generosity.
What practice could possibly be this profound? It was nothing other than the practice of supplicating pacification of war from green Tara and Hayagriva.
Why is there war then, despite our prayers and practices and good Dharma conduct? The answer, in Buddhist terms, is karma. Karma leads to future consequences. Karma phala, fruit of action. If you don't like the word karma, think of the well-established physics principle of cause and effect.
This is karma in its most obvious form. You yell at someone, they're likely to yell back at you. You cut someone off in an act of road rage, they're likely to shake their fist and swear at you. Or you open a door for someone carrying groceries, and they smile and say thank you.
Unfortunately, there is more than your own personal karma and your past lives' karma at play in matters of war and country conflict. Nations and cultures also have collective or group karma. For this reason, even though you might have personal good ripening karma, the country could be in conflict due to decades or even centuries of built-up past karma.
For this reason, purification of karma is a very important first remedy, and not only your own karma, but the karma that is ripening for your nation or area. Any practices involving purifying this negative karma includes Mother Tara, who is the mother of the karma family.
The other main remedy for the causes of war is Dharma itself. The teachings of Buddha's Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths, to start with, are critical to placating the causes of war. They also prevent us from engaging in future conduct which would ripen into negative karma. Dharma speech, in the form of sutra and Dharma teachings, is the main remedy for the poisons which motivate war and conflict.
Dharma speech is the domain of Amitabha Buddha, the Padma family, who represent the speech of all the Buddhas, or Dharma. Of these, the practice most treasured for issues of high conflict and war is the Padma Heruka himself, Hayagriva.
The wrathful form of Amitabha and Avalokiteshvara is the most powerful form of Dharma speech. Dharma speech and teaching virtuous conduct, and in wrathful form, enforcing virtuous conduct with commitments, is the domain of Hayagriva Buddha.
His practices are also very immediate and helpful because, according to the Sutra of the Origin of Hayagriva, the mandala of Hayagriva remains in our world. While most Buddha mandalas are visualized in their own Pure Lands, the Hayagriva mandala remains here in the sacred places of our very own earth, protected by dakinis and dakas. See our linked feature on Hayagriva Buddha at the information icon.
The great Yogin Tangtong Gyalpo, who lived 1385 to 1464, transmitted the practice for pacifying war, which combines Hayagriva and Tara practice. He was a famous Chod master, yogi and physician. He was a mind emanation of Padmasambhava, as well as the rebirth of Dolpopa Sharab Gyaltsen.
In commentary, it was explained that Tara and Hayagriva were the appropriate practices because both remain active in our world and both are embodiments of Chi or Lungta or Prana, both the prana of our world and of our personal bodies. Green Tara's color indicates her power over prana. The neighing green horse head arising from the crown of Hayagriva's fierce head also indicates vital control of Windhorse, or Lungta, or Prana in our world. For a video on Windhorse and Ki, see our linked video.
This is most immediate. We each have Lungta or Prana in our bodies. It's what sustains and strengthens us. This is Tara and Hayagriva. The world has prana and wind horse sustaining her. For this reason, we are connected intimately to our world and also to each other. This each other includes the so-called enemies who attack us.
For this reason, there are two practices recommended by Yogi Tangtong Gyelpo to help pacify war, strife, and natural disasters. There are other great protectors and practices, but often these are of the mind or of the brain, or of our commitments and promises. Tara and Hayagriva help us in our physical needs, with activity, and wind and prana in our lives. For Hayagriva and Tara, both can be practiced as frontal visualization without empowerment. If you have empowerment, your body, speech, and mind are blessed by Guru, and you'll have permission to visualize yourself as the deity. If you do not have empowerment, you always visualize the deity in front of you as a field of merit.
Tara, we visualize in the normal way as green Tara, symbolizing wind and prana mother. She is the mother of prana and Lungta, or wind horse. Hayagriva, who is none other than a form of Avalokiteshvara, and Amitabha has many forms. But it is important to think of these all as one Heruka Buddha. He is also called Padma Ishvara. He can appear in any form. He is both an emanation or form of Avalokiteshvara and Amitabha Buddha. One of his praises is,
To the Dharma body of all conquerors of the lotus lineage, Vajra body of the Dharma Lord Amitabha, in a raging great form, emanating from Avalokiteshvara. Praise to Hayagriva, neighing like a horse.
the horse is the symbol consistently seen with Hayagriva, representing the sound of Dharma in his neigh and the wind of prana in form.
He can also appear in specific ways for different practices. As Hayagriva Yangsang, he appears with Heruka wings, usually with his consort, blue Vajravarahi, and with 3 faces. In this form, he has the green face on his left and the white face on his right. He has 1 green horse head.
In his other major form, Hayagriva Sangdrup, he stands solitary without his wings. With his Katvanga staff representing Vajravarahi, standing on the 8 Nagas, and his green face is instead on his right, and his white face on his left.
He also appears with 2 legs, 2 arms, and 1 horse head, and both solitary and with his consort Vajravarahi. He also has a black Hayagriva form and other forms.
They are the same Heruka Buddha. The 2-armed visualization is easier for most people. If you have empowerment, you visualize only as your teacher instructed.
At the end, you can visualize wind horses carrying your supplications and wishes to Tara and Hayagriva. You can also visualize the blessing light of pacification and suppression returning from Hayagriva and Tara and entering the hearts of all beings, instantly pacifying their anger, hate, jealousy, attachment, greed, and ignorance. Visualizing helps reinforce our communication of intention.
The mantra of green Tara, which is among the most profound and powerfully active of mantras, is Om Tare Tutare Ture Svaha. With this mantra, we have the 8 protections from the 8 fears and dangers. This is also the power of Lungta, or Qi, or wind. The mantra of Hayagriva is so profound and powerful that the great teacher Orgyen Tobgyel Rinpoche taught,
The powerful Heruka is Hayagriva. Every being that lives in this world has no choice but to follow Hayagriva's command. He is more powerful than any other being. There is no one to equal or even compete with him. Hayagriva is the universal ruler of all that appears and exists. There is no one greater or more powerful than the powerful Heruka.
This mantra is
Om Hrih Padman Tatro Vajra Krodha Hayagriva Hulu Hulu Hampat.
Why is he the most powerful? Simply because he is the hero of Dharma speech. Of the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the Dharma is always supreme, according to Buddha's own teachings. Of the 3 Vajras, which are body, speech, and mind, the Vajra speech is the most important. This is Hayagriva in wrathful form, or Amitabha in peaceful form.
When we practice the two together as a protection and to pacify or avoid violence or war, as always, we take refuge in the 3 jewels Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and in Tara and Hayagriva, who both embody all 3 jewels. For frontal generation, the main mandatory requirement is the bodhicitta intention, or the intention to benefit all beings. Ideally, make offerings and the 7 limbs of practice, and then recite the mantra with the merit field visualized in front of you. The merit field can be as simple as a standing one-faced red Hayagriva with 2 arms and a green horse head crown, usually to the right of green Tara. There are many ways to visualize both, since they are activity Buddhas of the wind or Lungta, so they are not usually static. If you do have empowerment, however, visualize in the form your teacher instructed. There are many forms of both Hayagriva and Tara in all lineages. Both deities can appear in whatever form is most appealing to us.
Here begins the recitation in English.
In Tara, Hayagriva, and the Guru, and in the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until enlightenment. By the merit of my generosity and other deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In Tara, Hayagriva, and the Guru, and in the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until enlightenment. By the merit of my generosity and other deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In Tara, Hayagriva, and the Guru, and in the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until enlightenment. By the merit of my generosity and other deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In front of me instantly arises a blazing green Tam syllable on the left and red Hri syllable on the right. By the light of the syllables, Venerable Tara appears in the sky from the green Tam, and Hayagriva appears from the Hri syllable. Namo Arya Taraye, Namo Hayagrivaye, Namo Gurubye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I prostrate with complete purity to Venerable Aryatara, Supreme Hayagriva, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who dwell in the 10 directions and 3 times. I offer real and imagined flowers, incense, butter lamps, scent, food, music, and so forth. Assembly of Aryatara and Hayagriva, please accept it. I confess all my faults from beginningless time until now, committed with a mind under the sway of the afflictions, such as the 10 non-virtues. I rejoice in whatever merit has been accumulated in the 3 times by hearers, solitary realizers, bodhisattvas, ordinary beings, and others. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma according to the intentions and mental dispositions of sentient beings. Until samsara is emptied, please do not pass into nirvana, but look with compassion upon sentient beings that are drowning in the ocean of suffering. May whatever merit I have accumulated become the cause of enlightenment for the benefit of sentient beings. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the sublime happiness that is free from suffering. May they rest in the great equanimity that is free of the duality of attachment and aversion. Thus one gathers the accumulations through prostrating, offering, confessing, and generating the 2 types of bodhicitta of the preliminaries. Now, while holding the visualization of Tara, I recite the mantra of Tara. As I recite, I see green light going out from the Tam at Tara's heart, blessing all beings in the entire universe, then returning and blessing my own body, speech and mind.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Svaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Svaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Svaha.
Next, while holding the visualization of Hayagriva, I recite the mantra of Hayagriva. As I recite, I see red light going out from Hayagriva's throat chakra, blessing all beings in the entire universe, and returning and blessing my own body, speech, and mind.
Om Hri Vajra Krodha Hayagriva, Hulu Hulu Hampat. Om Hri Vajra Krodha Hayagriva, Hulu Hulu Hampat. Om Hri Vajra Krodha Hayagriva, Hulu Hulu Hampat.
Ferocious King Hayagriva, Jetson Tara and the rest, the mere sound of whose name dispels all fear, compassionate sources of refuge, I pray grant me heed. In this time when individuals experience an oceanic surge of negative karma and jealousy, in the age of 5-fold decadence and strife, as intense suffering, fighting, and quarreling oppress us, I pray burn it all in the fires of your compassionate wisdom. Shower the nectar of love upon those who grow the flames of hatred. Bless them to recognize each other as parents, and thereby usher in auspiciousness and happiness. May the mischievous elemental spirits that enter the minds of beings and transform their hosts into warring titans never hold sway again. May all who have died in battles, fighting, and wars immediately give up their indulgence in destructive action, cause and effect, and, having taken birth in the pure realm of Sukhavati, lead all to that same Buddha realm. May all beings have long, healthy lives, be free of quarrels and strife. Live according to the 10 virtues and experience timely rains and bountiful harvests. And may the auspiciousness of the environment and beings increase exponentially. May these pure, vast prayers be accomplished. Now I visualize the green wind horse carrying our supplications, prayers, wishes, and merit to Aryatara. Aryatara, who beams with emerald green light, by pacifying all unwanted circumstances and accomplishing all the aims with auspicious glory, I request you, generate the wind horse of acting on a space-like scale. Next, I visualize a red wind horse carrying our supplications to Supreme Hayagriva. Supreme Hayagriva, fierce and majestic, beam forth with ruby red light to defeat the evil designs of humans and non-human spirits and vanquish all the foes of the Dharma to protect the practitioners. Bring the whole apparent world under control and generate the wind horse of magnetizing the triple world. Om Yadharma Hitu Prabhava Hitum Tisam Tathagato Hyavadat. Tisam Kayo Nirodha. Evam Vadu Mahashramana Swaha. Om Yadharma Hitu Prabhava Hitum Tisam Tathagato Hyavadat. Tisam Kayo Nirodha. Evam Vadu Mahashramana Swaha. Om Yadharma Hitu Prabhava Hitum Tisam Tathagato Hyavadat. Tisam Kayo Nirodha, Evam Vadu Mahashramana Swaha.
We dedicate the merit of this practice to the cause for peace and prosperity for all sentient beings, and the ultimate cause of enlightenment.